Okay. Okay.
All right, folks, right here you're seeing this officer
Now understand.
be given an ID and explained the situation per the call that went to the dispatch down to this officer and his cruiser and officer badge number. Now, all he got was a call. So what I'm about to do here, folks, is I'm about to help you officers that obviously don't fucking understand the law. Here's how it goes. When you get a call and someone gives you a bunch of hearsay, it is your job to investigate. That doesn't mean that without a crime being committed that either the person on the phone has directly told you they witnessed, or you get there and see it being done. That's your reasonable articulation. You can't do anything on suspicion except ask questions. And those that you ask the questions to via not the caller, if they haven't committed a reasonable articulation of a crime, they can refuse to answer any. However, this gentleman right here, to your left of this officer, decided to give the ID anyway. Explain the entire situation, that everything was fine. He's been coming there quite a while, but for whatever reason, look, they don't want him to be there, and he's going to go ahead and go home, what have you. Now, this gentleman's wife is also being questioned for her ID, except she stands up for her rights to this officer and tells him the facts that I just gave you. Now, the difference is the officer's going to use certain lingo as they're trained and taught by watching other shit fucking asshat, non-oath keeping bastard officers to continue to do to the public, even though they're very, very awake to their rights at this point. So I'm going to show you how a real little boy, with the one in the little clown costume here you see, tells his elders, who aren't committing crimes, by the way, that they're acting like children because they won't allow him to extort them and hold up their time under the, what? Color of law in a civil rights violation. It's a federal charge against you, you fucking dipshit. Y'all are making it too easy. But he proceeds to talk to this woman. Let's listen.
My point of view. Being the zone officer, I'm here all the time. I normally don't see a car parked here, which is a little bit weird. That's what we call reasonable suspicion in my mind. Okay? When I have that, I have the right to talk to people, ask a couple questions, figure out what's going on. As long as everything checks out, we all go on.
Now, he's stating the blatant facts of what an officer can do. No doubt. The difference is he doesn't like it when someone knows their rights, haven't committed crimes, and are just really easily able as adults to break it up and go on about their business. Do what they must and what they have to in the right way by abiding by the law. No laws have been broken here yet. But watch how he uses that little flashy, charismatic statement to move into his fishing expedition for a catch-all.
But we don't have to answer a single question that you ask. Yeah, no, we don't have to answer your questions.
You do.
No.
As a police officer, I have that authority.
No, sir, you don't. You have no, and I'm going to repeat this to every one of you officers across the nation because it's a national policy. You have nothing. You can ask, you can question, but if we refuse, you have nothing without reasonable articulation of a crime. Asking for an ID and then using that ID refusal, as you call it, is a secondary crime. You have to have the original crime to even detain and ask for an ID. That's why you cannot ask for an ID without officially detaining, and you can't detain without a reasonable articulation of a crime. You fucking idiots need to fucking learn. We do not give a fuck about your sergeants and your captains that are telling you to do this shit. I don't give a fuck about a sheriff that tells you to do this shit. I don't give a fuck if your chief tells you to do this shit. And I certainly don't give a fuck if your mayor does. Because they're not the fucking law. Do you understand now? I'm making it very fucking clear. Because people are getting tired of you fucking assholes beating the shit out of kids, beating the shit out of fucking old people for nothing. It shows that you are asshats and fucking clowns, and we're going to start treating you just like you treat the people that you disrespect on a daily basis. Pointing you out, putting complaints on you, and getting rid of you. Period. And there won't be any more Masonic little buddy system to loop you back into another department somewhere else, because every department everywhere is being watched by we the people.
You can ask me anything you want, but I'm not obliged to tell you anything.
Okay. Do you have your ID on you? Can I please have it?
Technically, sir, she could tell you I don't answer questions all day long. The same statement. There's nothing you can do about it except derelict her rights under the color of law, possibly go ahead and assault her, even tase her, and worse.
Sir, do you know who she is? Is she with you?
Please do not.
You do not have a right to ask the other person. Well, you have a right to ask, but they have a right to refuse. What you're doing is soliciting someone, or just as you would solicit a trespass, to walk in there and ask the business owner if they want him to be trespassed. By the way, the management even of a business, it has to be the landowner. Buddy, learn the law.
I'm going to hang on until I get hers. So as soon as she gets me hers.
So now you're going to keep the other guy, the other person that you're equestriating illegally at this point. You have already lost your qualified immunity too, by the way, sir, because you derelicted their rights under the color of law. When you did that, qualified immunity is gone. So every mistake you make here is going to cost we, the taxpayer, because the judge isn't going to let this stand, buddy. You have nothing. It's all on camera. That's why we record the police, because you guys don't know how to do your job, and the ones that do know how to do your job, you're either getting bullied into not doing it, or the other way around. We want to highlight good officers. We want to showcase the right things. But when you hold someone else's license to get someone else's, that's called extortion, buddy boy.
I do this so we can all be on our way.
What's your suspicion now? So he's explained everything to you, so what are your suspicions about?
She's very smart. You see, he has equestrian suspicion, not reasonable articulation of crime, suspicion alone, which is neither a misdemeanor or a felony. You can't detain for that alone. Not to mention, from the way it looks, they're on public easement at this point, outside of this business. And by the way, Mr. Dipshit Officer, who thinks he's so badass and smart with his little fucking words that he tries to put in a sentence to make it sound like he's such an honorable guy, holding up the oath that he put his Bible on. His hand on a Bible to keep, which he obviously didn't do. He probably didn't even sign his oath of office, and you could take his bond away, and he'll never work in any state again, because they won't insure him to be on the police force anymore. Despite that, a secondary suspicion is what she's attaining to, because he would only have to have a secondary suspicion act for her ID at this point, because she clearly has something totally different going on than the first gentleman in the instance of the explanation. I mean, come on, people.
Me.
As a police officer, when I'm on a call, I have reasonable suspicion. I have the right to ID everyone I'm talking to.
Well, I don't have to ID to you unless you.
He just quoted a complete lie. On a call without reasonable articulation of a crime, you do not have the right to attain one's ID or name if they feel not giving it to you. You can ask, but you do not have the authority of anything. You can't make them. You can ask. And obviously, if they give in like some folks did on one side of this deal, you can now extort the other one by holding her husband hostage and his ID hostage as well. Now, watch how this gentleman decides to belittle them by calling them and stating that they're acting like kids. Listen to this shit. You got the fucking balls, you stupid motherfucker, to tell two good law-abiding people that know their rights that they're acting like children when you are acting like a fucking asshat.
Unless you charge me with a separate crime, you cannot get me for failure to ID because it's none of your business.
She busted your ass.
The longer you interrupt me, the longer we're going to be here.
And he has no answer. That's called plausible deniability. So you know what he just did? I'm going to extort you again since you caught me red fucking handed. Now I'm going to state that if you keep interrupting me as if we give a fuck, you dipshit, if we fucking interrupt you, as we have to do your job for you from extorting and trying to jail us. You dumb motherfucker. You deserve every word out of my mouth, you low-life scumbag.
Don't talk to me like I'm a child.
Well, then don't act like one.
I'm not.
Here we go. Again.
Don't
Ready?
act like a child, sir. Don't act like a child, huh? Well, sounds kind of funny that you would say that, right? This gets better because it's only making you look like a complete fool, a liar, and a thief, and someone who cannot ever be trusted in that uniform. Because I and this young lady educated everybody on how you are a con artist and a scam. And what you're willing to do to people that are law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have the opportunity, you dim-witted fool, to have this afternoon on film where you decided to start treating people like shit.
I have his ID because I have reasonable suspicion to talk to you. I need your ID. The sooner you give it to me, the sooner we can all be on our way. That's all this is.
Call your supervisor.
Okay, give me your ID and I will.
Oh, so now we can't have a supervisor until we get the ID. Because you're going to drum up some shit once you get it. And you already know that. You will falsify a report. This little turd-ass bastard will falsify a report in a heartbeat. You hear me? He will beat your grandma, probably taser, and tell them that he was bit by her, if you know what I'm saying. This is a scumbag. You need to be the guy making the 5-cent Krabby Patty burgers for everybody at McDonald's or Burger King. That's what you need to be doing, little buddy.
Can you call your supervisor, please? What's your name, badge number, employee number?
Officer Moss.
I'm asking him.
He is trained.
Thank you.
Officer Moss. 40111.
Thank you.
Are
Can
guys
you please call your supervisor?
Is that what this is?
It's all shit.
And the other officer is so fucking dumb. All he can do is go, well, I don't want to get my ass handed to me by my partner. So, yeah, he's trained and he knows what he's talking about. First off, little boy, you need to go back home and hang that fucking belt up in that badge because you don't know a fucking thing, let alone this dumbass motherfucker that you're running around with that's probably been on the force for 10 more years. I don't fucking know. Stupid.
Not bowing to your will does not make somebody a solid Sith.
Bingo.
Okay, how long is your ID?
It's none of your business.